Hello everybody, this is Leslie, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make glassine bags on your own out of either wax paper or parchment paper, all of which you can buy in the Dollar Tree. So stay tuned. Hello everybody, just as I said in the opening intro, I am going to be making glassine bags. I had mentioned that I started making glassine bags out of both parchment paper and wax paper. They're very, very easy to make. You don't need to spend a lot of money unless you really want fancier looking ones, but you can really make them fancy no matter what you do. You can use the scissors that actually put designs on them. I actually don't have any of them. I had given them all away at one point, so I really don't have any of those. But I just use a simple punch, which I will show you a little round punch. You could use any punch that you want really to make your little tab, but I will show you the ones that I've made so far, and then I'm going to show you how to make some of both kinds. Basically, you decide the size, you decide, how long you want it to be, how short you want it to be, and you just go from there. I don't measure, I just cut randomly, and if I feel it's a little bit too big, I'll show you how you can adjust it when you're folding the paper over. So I am going to bring you down and I will show you the ones I made last evening. I sat here for a good 2 hours and just made glassine bags. So I will show you those, and then I will show you how to actually make them. Alright, I'm going to bring you down. Alrighty, so these are the ones I made last night. And as you can see, I made itsy bitsy little tiny ones. And these are all these were all parchment paper. And see, all I did was I used a little round punch so I can get in there. And your glue, now the glue, what you're going to need, let me first off tell you what you need. You're going to need glue, preferably one that dries clear. This stuff is phenomenal. I purchased this on Amazon. This will definitely be a staple in my craft room because this stuff takes so quickly. It's like having hot glue but not having to deal with burning your fingers. You're going to need a scissor. You are going to, of course, need a roll of parchment paper and or wax paper. Now, I already cut mine into strips, and like I said, you just measure what you want, and I just go with the flow, basically. So that was the parchment, and then these are the wax paper. The wax paper is thinner. I think the wax paper is more like a glassine bag, but they're thin. So that's why I prefer the parchment paper, because the parchment paper is more like a deli paper. So I actually prefer that, but I wanted to show you both, so I did cut some of those out. But like I said, these are the ones that I made last night. I gave some away to friends in Happy Mail, but you make them any size you want. I mean, you can just fold them over, staple them, put a hole punch in them, and I mean, you can give these, put little goodies in here and give these to your friends, put them in junk journals. See, I used like a little star punch on that one. But see how I have all different sizes? And we'll go up to the bigger ones. I have, this one's a really big one. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to do those. So stay tuned and we'll start working on those. But again, like I said, you're going to need glue. You need to get a scissor. And that's pretty much it. And your pieces of parchment paper and wax paper. and a cup of tea. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay. The other two things I forgot is if you have a bone folder, it is it's not a necessity, but it does aid in trying to get the glue away from the bag. So, but I'll show you that. I'm trying to still take some of the glue off of my bone folder from last night. And also too, if you wanted to use a punch. So, like I said, I have this little one. I don't have a bigger one yet. I am going to be investing in a bigger one at some point. But as of right now, I just use this one. I actually do have this one that I've used in the past, so you can use that as well. So I just seem to make smaller bags, so I prefer the smaller one. Okay, so first we'll start off with the wax paper. And what I do is I go with the curve. So if it's curving this way, that's the way I'm going to fold it. Okay, so all you're going to do is fold it pretty much like in half. Now, you can do it where your seam is down further. You can do it where your seam is in the middle. It depends on whatever you're comfortable with. To me, it really doesn't matter. I pretty much try and fold it in the middle. Okay? And then what you're going to do is you're just going to bring this one over and just overlap it a tiny little bit, because you do not need. So that is how much I actually left, because that's where I'm going to be gluing. Okay, so underneath this seam is where I'm going to put my glue, and you don't need a lot. So you just put a thin strip of glue, or I should say bead of glue, and then fold it down and just rub it with your fingers. Okay. Now you're gonna see where it kind of puckers from the wet glue. And now I suggest using wet glue, not using a you can't use these because it won't stick, because of the waxy surface. You have to use a wet glue. Okay. All right. So this is where I use my bone folder. And all I do is just go down here, move it around. Okay. So now you have a tube. Okay. So you have a tube. So now if you have any imperfections, so if you have where your seam isn't straight, or it's a little bit smaller on the bottom, but you would like it to be a little bit bigger, then fold where it's a little bit smaller. Like I see that this side looks like it's a little bit smaller, so that's where I'm going to fold. That's where my bottom is going to be. So now it's up to you what you want to do for size. Now if this is too big for you, you can cut it down with your scissors. You know, so let's say this is just a little bit too big, so I'm going to cut it down a little bit. Okay, and now all I'm going to do is just fold it up. Okay. Okay, so now what you're going to do with your scissors is, after it's been folded, what you're going to do is you are going to cut from where, I hope you can see this, from here you're going to take a little corner piece off. Okay, so all you're going to do is cut inward. So see how I took a little piece off that edge? So you're going to start with where your fold line is, and now you're going to do it the same way on the other side. And the reason why you're doing this is you just don't want the extra bulk for when you're gluing it down. Okay, so far that's what you have. And now another thing you're going to do is, now you're going to open these two pieces here. Okay, so you have the top piece and you got the bottom piece. Okay, now this top piece where you're going to be folding over, we're going to cut that down a little bit. Okay, so I usually take it down about a half. All right, so now what I'm going to do is take my glue. Again, I'm going to run a bead of glue along the edges and then down on the bottom where that other piece is. Okay, and now what you're going to do is just fold it over, and then I just go like this. Again, I take my bone folder, I go inside, and all I want to do is go like this on the bottom to make sure it's not sticking. And there is your bag. Easy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my punch here. I'm going to try and find as close to the middle as I can, and all I'm going to do is halfway. And now I'm finding with the wax paper, these punches don't do a great job with the wax paper. So it seems to work okay with the parchment paper, but when it comes to the waxy surface, it doesn't do that great of a job. That's why I said I'm not keen on the wax paper. I prefer the parchment paper, but like I said, I wanted to show you the difference, and it's much thinner too. Okay, so that's a wax paper one. Now we're going to work on some of my favorite ones, which are the parchment paper ones. Okay, so let's see, how do we want to do this? I guess we'll go this way. So again, fold it in half, and of course mine are never even, so I try to make it as even as possible. And then we're going to fold it and leave a little bit and because my cut is not straight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the top to even it out a little bit, and that should be good enough. So now again, I'm going to pull this part up. I'm going to put a bead of glue and fold it down. Easy as that. And again, I'm going to take this bottom part, I'm going to fold that up, and again we're going to cut and make our little cuts. And these products, like I said, were the parchment paper and the wax paper I bought at the Dollar Tree. So you don't have to worry about messing it up. You have a whole entire roll of paper. If you mess it up, you cut another piece off and you start again. It's not that big of a deal, believe me. When I first did them, I made a couple of mistakes and I just threw it out. And I still have hardly used any of the actual parchment paper. And so I glued it down, and now I'm gluing the bottom. take my bone folder, put that inside, make sure it's not sticking. And we're going to see if this one works. There we go, much better. And there we go. And that's my cup for it. Okay. And so like I said, you can make these any size you want. If you needed a really, really big one, just cut it to the size that you know it's going to fit. If you're making a junk journal and you know that you need one that's going to be, you know, quite long, then you cut it to the size that you need, you know. And if for some reason it doesn't work the way you wanted it to, you use it for a smaller one. Plain and simple. Alright, this will be the last one. This one's a little bit bigger. And again, we're just going to seal that down, press it down. And this one's a little bit crooked, so we're going to cut this top. Still a little crooked. There we go. Now we're going to fold the bottom. We're going to fold that up. And then you're going to clip the bottom. Take that little piece off the bottom. Open it up. Take the inside piece, cut it in half. Okay. And you're going to glue. Fold it down and stick it together. And that's all you do. So I hope this has helped. I know one person had left a comment that they had wanted to see this. I know there are other tutorials out there, but I mean, it is so easy to do. I mean, once you see somebody do it, now see how this is a little stuck? You take your bone folder and you just separate it. Now the other thing you can do is where the seam is, you can press down on your bone folder. I was doing that a lot last night, so I have a lot of glue on my bone folder. But when these dry, that bubbled up part where the glue is kind of wet is going to be almost perfectly smooth. So you don't have to worry about it. So you got another different size. And the other thing too is always make sure if you're doing the seam on one side, when you fold up, make sure you're folding up where the seam is, because you want to keep everything where it's being glued down on one side, just so that you have it nice and neat on the other side. I wanted to give a quick tutorial and show you how I did this. So I hope this helped. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. It does help my channel. Also too, if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that bell button up on the top. Basically what that does is it just tells you when I have a video, or it'll also tell you if I am going to go live. Eventually I will be doing more live videos like this, where we can just sit down and we can chat and we can craft together, and I'm hoping that maybe in the upcoming months we can start doing that. Alright, so I hope everybody has a great week, and I hope everybody has a great 4th of July. And if I don't see you before the 4th of July, take care everybody and be safe.